What happens if you make a gift to a charity and the leader leaves, a new leader comes in, they change course significantly, and you find yourself having supported something that you don't believe in anymore? I care so deeply about the idea of donor intent on both sides. When I'm helping and supporting a nonprofit organization with fundraising, and when I myself am trying to lean into this calling of generosity and I'm making a gift, I think a lot about whether or not that gift is going to do good for that organization, whether it's going to advance the mission that I care about. For many of us to embrace this calling to generosity, we think of our resources as gifts entrusted to us that we can dispense, that we can share in order to advance missions that matter, in order to contribute to causes that we care about and we think can actually be a blessing to our neighbors in the world. And we take that seriously. So it's interesting when we find ourselves making a gift, and then maybe immediately after we make the gift, or maybe years later, we find ourselves regretting it. It's the donor equivalent of buyer's remorse, where you go and you shop for some vehicle and maybe you do it in a spontaneous way and you get it home and you're just realizing, wow, I spent all this money on this item and it's not really what I want. It's not really what I care about. I think there's an equivalent to buyer's remorse in the philanthropic world. And I've seen it happen in a number of instances. The most common is when you find yourself making a contribution to a charity that you care about, to a cause or nonprofit that you care about, and you've built a really good, positive, trusting relationship with one particular leader. And then that leader leaves and someone else comes in and they change course. Or sometimes it happens in a slow way. Mission drift is a real thing. In a lot of organizations, they start with a clear origin story, where they come from, why they exist, who they exist to serve, how they exist to serve, their core convictions, their core values, all of those things. And over time, that gets lost in some organizations. Maybe the original founding people believed in it, but they didn't institutionalize it. They didn't build a culture around it. They didn't build a moat around that mission to protect it and to insulate it from influences from others. Oftentimes I see this because a lot of organizations bring in new people, and they bring them in because of their gifts and talents and abilities, but they forget the due diligence of actually vetting people according to mission alignment. In fact, there was a very large agriculture company that I talked to a couple of years ago where I was so intrigued with their hiring practices. They need a lot of people with specific technical skills in the ag industry. And while they review candidates on the basis of their resumes, that they have some basic skills, all of their first interviews are about core values, core convictions of the organization, mission fit. Is this someone that we can entrust with our mission? Is this someone that we believe can live out our mission on a daily basis? And in the philanthropic world, I think it's perfectly appropriate for those of us who embrace this calling to generosity. It's perfectly appropriate for us to ask lots of questions. I see this a little bit akin to a dating process where we're getting to know an organization. And you can watch from afar and you can observe and learn through their words and their actions how they talk about things. But you can also get inside and get to know people, talk to the leaders, get to know a variety of individuals, get to know board members. That's perfectly appropriate and a valuable thing to do so that we understand that we are entrusting these resources to a community and a culture that's committed to keeping the mission going over an extended period of time. Now, I realize that even with that, there are changes that can happen and we can find ourselves disappointed. And the way that I make sense of that is this. One, I think it's still perfectly appropriate to be a champion for the mission that you invested in first, and to be willing to speak up about that. And if you're not happy with it, to say so. It's also perfectly appropriate to consider making a restricted gift, and in your restriction, including some requirements about mission alignment and core convictions, and framing your gift in a way that it can only be used in an ongoing manner if the organization stays faithful to its stated mission at the time of the gift. And if not, then maybe the gift has to be passed on to another mission aligned organization that you designate, or there are many different ways that that restriction can be written up. And then I think there's also another way that we can approach this disappointing situation, and that's to acknowledge that when we make a gift, it does make a difference for that time and for that season. And even in those organizations where we find ourselves disappointed with the direction that they go, with the mission drift that's happening, I think we can still find some solace and some encouragement in the fact that we made a gift and it helped and blessed and benefited people for a time. Yes, and maybe they lost their way as an organization and it changed course. But that doesn't take away the fact that your gift did help advance that mission. And who knows the ripple effect of that gift in the lives of those who are impacted. For most of us, we're making gifts to charitable organizations that bless and benefit others through education, through healthcare, through humanitarian efforts, through research, through the arts. And the thing about each and every one of those is that they serve real people at specific moments in their lives. And when that person is served, they've received a gift that they bring with them throughout the rest of their lives. And they're better positioned to pass on to someone else. And I know that might sound a little bit cliche, but that's how it really works. We bless others, and it equips them to then be a blessing to their families, churches, communities, workplaces, and others throughout the world.